Gents,
Woo!
so happy to have you. Between two DMs, this is episode 6. Lucky number 6.
Nice. All right.
I
Just one shy of my lucky number, which
yeah,
is 7.
I know. Well, we'll have you back for the 77th or something like that.
Ah, I like that.
Aliza is an actor, is a dungeon master, is a ttrpg creator, writer, a fellow kind of LA soldier up here in the mix. And
Yes.
and yeah, how you feeling today? Thank you, just for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Johnny. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, just on the hustle, as you know.
100%. Well, for the most part, between two DMs is a chat, where we talk about D&D stuff, what brought you to the table, etc. With kind of the hustle in mind, I'm curious, like, with kind of paid GMing and sort of moving into the space, like, have you seen any change? Like, is it like, how has it been for you in terms of that transition from, like, oh, I love running games, I'm a great DM, to having a demand for it and having more or less like clients that are also players? Has that been tough? Like, what's that been like?
Yeah, it has taken some intuitiveness for me to sense what are people's needs. Like, so yeah, I started playing TTRPGs only really in 2017. I had played D&D I think once before that, and I got hired to play on stream in a live play of Star Trek Adventures, which is our campaign was called Shield of Tomorrow, and it had a really like strong following, and it was on Geek and Sundry. That was my first like long-term campaign. And
That's sick.
so, yeah, coming into gaming as a performer, I definitely, have, I started with that perspective and that experience, and then becoming hired to becoming a GM, and then also starting to sell my services as a GM and a DM. I always wanted to be aware of the fact that not everyone is performing at the table. Not everyone wants that experience. And even if RP is really important for people at the table, it doesn't mean, I think it has to be like enjoyable for them to do, rather than, I don't want my players in private tables to ever worry about performing for each other. I want it to actually just be like, inhabit the character and have fun and relate to each other. Like, let that be where your inspiration funnels through, rather than this is a performance and I'm on all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Which, I mean, maybe for some players, some people is what would bring them, but you're right, for like a lot of people that could be super intimidating or be a draw. Is that something that you, I mean, it's of course harder with a player that you don't know or somebody that's coming to the table new. Do you vet that as part of like the session 0? Is that kind of like a submission form that you do, or is that more what is a kind of an onboarding look for you in that sense?
Yeah, so it depends on where I'm doing a game or where I'm getting clients from. So sometimes it's someone who comes to me in my DMs and will say, like, I want you to run a game. Actually, now that I have my coffee page up and running, that's happening less because that's the place for them to go. But before I had my coffee page up and running, sometimes people would ask me to run games over DMs. And so, yeah, I would ask them, like, is this a private game versus streamed? Is this what's the skill level, or like experience level, I should say, of your players? How many players? Like, get all that kind of like starting info. And then I also started as a private DM and GM. I started doing Google Forms where I just gather a bunch of information and feedback from players before we play. And again, this is also like pre-session 0. So usually what I'll ask is, what type of play do you like the most? Are you an RP person? Are you a combat person? Do you like puzzles? Do you like political intrigue,
Sure.
social combat? Like, what is your thing in TTRPGs that you love the most? And then also, I also wrap that Google form and that intake process, I wrap that in with an RPG consent checklist. So it's like, what is your comfort level with certain topics? Giving people the chance to share as much or as little as they want. One of my players was like, this is a lot. I feel like I'm being pressured to share, and I was like, oh, please don't. Like, don't. If it's uncomfortable for you, then just check that you don't want to talk about it in the game. Because if you're having trouble filling out the form about a certain topic, then maybe we shouldn't have that topic in the game. You know, like that's all we need to know. That's all. You don't have to give me like your whole traumatic past about something. Like, it's fine. So yeah, just like I gather information that way, and then at the session 0, yeah, talk through like what if people already have character ideas in mind. Session 0 is also a really great way to low-key check the vibe.
Yeah.
Like if you have certain players who are more outspoken than others, if you have some that are a little more quiet and need to be drawn out sometimes, you can already tell what the dynamic might be at the table based on how people are at session 0.
Yes. And is that session 0 always for you going to be group? Like that's part of the advantage of bringing them all together, is to see that dynamic in play.
Yeah, I prefer to I prefer to have a session 0 in a group. I mean, but that doesn't preclude like if someone wants one-on-one time to help build a character.
Sure.
Depending on how busy I am, then yeah, I can be like, yeah, let's meet for half an hour and talk about your character, or we can just do it over chat, Twitter chat or DM chat or something like that, Discord chat.
Yeah, bringing people together and of course, whenever you're doing like numerous, I mean, that's so smart to have a Google Form intake, having something standardized to kind of help yourself, and also at the same time make sure people are able to kind of share what they're comfortable with. Obviously, that's super smart. Is it typically like adventure books, Aliza? Like, are you kind of like, you enjoy more like homebrew, like for your campaigns? And kind of add on to that, I'm curious, in these session 0s, how much, some people of course will come with a chapter, 24 pages of of their backstory, right? Other people will be like, I cut this image out from a graphic novel I love, and do you like to fill in the gaps for them? Like, is it something that informs your campaign a lot or a little? Like, I'm just curious what kind of that session 0 to then campaign transition looks like.
Yeah, I think in terms of backstory for characters, some characters, like you said, will come with a whole novel about their character. Wow.
Which I love, honestly.
It's amazing. And some players will not have really thought through too much about their character. So it's kind of like finding the balance between the two, like drawing more information out and like getting that player who doesn't have as much thought out yet to think about some things, or at least answer some important questions about who their character is, what they want, who are the important people in their life, do they have any rivals or villains that they've gone up against, that kind of thing. And then for the people who have a lot of information for the backstories, I have had to say, I've started to put a limit on how much they send me. I think I most recently did say one page, but I think 1 to 2 pages of backstory is probably the max.
Depends on font, I guess.
Yeah, and no smaller than like font size 10. Like,
it's like, yo, man, wait a minute. Yeah, you're just like
normal
going
margins.
On it.
It's like a college paper. Like, here are the specs. Don't try to sneak in 500 extra words. Yeah. But no, the reason why I started doing that is because you know how much prep there is to run a game, to run a whole campaign, no less. And like having to learn what all of the other characters, what's going on with them, and the setting and the place and what story you're gonna run them through. It's a lot of work. So I don't want to I can't really spend a ton of time reading someone's 100-page or even 10-page backstory. It's like, no, it's too much.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
But to answer your question about how much character backstories play into a game, for me, a lot. And some of my favorite games that I've run and campaigns that I've run they started by me just mining their character's backstory for juicy bits and seeing what is one thing they all are working on, struggling with, they went up against in the past. So like, for instance, Lords of Faerun, which is a streamed game that we did one season of, which was like a long season. It was like 26 episodes.
Is it on Twitch? Like, is that?
Yeah, it's on, the Twitch channel is Kira858, Kira 858. And if this is live, I can drop it in the chat too.
Yeah, please, of course. I'm like grabbing a pencil. I just like treasure maps. I'm like, go on.
Got it. You're a note taker. I'm a big note taker.
Big time.
I really am. Whether I'm a player or a DM, I am taking notes.
Yes. We'll dive into that, but undoubtedly. Thank you. Yeah, please drop that in. And Fuzka, good seeing you, legend. Thank you for rolling through. Fuzka's a fantastic creator and DnD player. Runs a really fun stream on her channel as well on Twitch.
Oh, nice.
Appreciate you coming through, Ledge. Well, I mean, can I dare to ask for some of the juicy bits? Like that, I mean, I love. Yeah. I mean, that's rad. Like, what were some of the,
Wait.
Like,
there you are. I was trying to tweet out the this link, and I was like, "What's your Twitter handle?" But I got it.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Got it. So you want some juicy bits?
Yes,
juicy bits?
I'm ready for the bits.
All right. So in Lords of Faerun, when they all sent me their character backstories, and they all had stuff thought out, they all sent me a good amount of info on who their character was and what they did before. One thing we did at least one, maybe 2 session zeros all together. I was in touch with all of them individually, working on, tinkering with their characters, things like that. They also met together, I think without me, another session zero to decide, because we decided they were a team already. So they decided, I told them, tell me what your mission was before this one, or one mission you did together as a team before this one.
Rad.
And so they met and decided on that, sent me the info. Bomb. So we had a lot to start with, which was juicy.
Yeah.
And now the really juicy bits from that came from the character backstories, because one thing I noticed that they all had in common was family. And I know that's very cliche, both in D&D and Fast and Furious, but
yeah, all the way up to Shakespeare.
I mean, family. It's true. We're family. It's true. They really did have, like, one character had lost their entire family due to treachery, and they had fled from their town. One character's whole town was taken over by drought, and their mom was I decided on the rest past that. Their mom wasn't killed. They thought they were, but their mom was actually taken down to the Drow City, and then
became a drag racer.
Well, what I loved about that one was that the mom was taken down to this Drow City, and she's Drow too. And so they went to
Minza
Baronzin, they kind of like it was, I forget the name of the city. I don't even know it might have been a city that I made.
Even better.
I can't quite remember, but
like the Underdark.
Yeah, they went down to the Underdark, found this city, and this character got to meet his mom. And the mom, who was not an adventurer before at all, was now like a level 8 paladin and a king's guard, or a queen's guard in this case. And I was like, that's the juicy shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
a whole life.
She lived, and they're long-lived, they're drow. So yeah, it would have been like 80 years since they had seen each other. She had lived a whole life and become an adventurer since she last saw her son. So like that kind of stuff. And then another character was a changeling assassin, and she very dangerous. Her whole family is changeling assassins, and they were like an assassin's guild. Her whole family gets slaughtered. This was all in her backstory. She brought this to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's like already juicy, right?
What a gift. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So her whole family was slaughtered by someone. She wasn't sure who. I think she did say it was a wizard back then, but that's all she gave me. A wizard slaughtered her family, and she's been on the run ever since. She never liked her family. So here's another thing I like to do. This is my evil DM side.
Let's go. Yeah, let's squeeze that juice. Let's go.
Yes. Here's the thing. A lot of players aren't actors, so they don't always look at like the motivation. They'll just be like, oh, my character did this and this and this, or has this situation, this situation, this situation. Yeah. And as an actor, I'm like, how do we connect the dots? How do we justify these things, these choices, and these feelings? And is it true that you don't care about your assassin family?
Yeah.
Even if you hated them, I think you'd care if they were assassinated, right? Like, so that was one thing that player brought to me, and I was like, okay, you think your character thinks she doesn't care. Maybe she's numb to it, but we're gonna fucking get into the
Dude.
juice and the, you know, like.
And that's the. I mean,
I
that is
want
actor
you to
shit,
feel
but that's like a
things.
writer. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
That's you're 100% right on that.
Yeah,
Because it's like
that to me is like the juicy stuff. Your characters, like if they're not your players, if they're not noticing certain things in their own backstory, that's the shit to like bloop, like make them live, like play through those weird juicy little moments.
100%. And like it's almost like more exciting to me whenever I'm like reading a backstory and I see some parenthetical that's like I'm not really sure on this, like I don't really know on this, or you know, like you tell me on this. I'm like, oh yes, I will. I totally will. That's so
yes,
amazing.
exactly. Those are such great gifts when they're like, I haven't decided. I'm like, boom, that's it. We're doing it.
And it just to like, because that whole, I mean, I love that option where like this backstory becomes so real for you in terms of what the mom's up to, what she's been doing, what her motivation has been, what her why has been, and to then make the decision to make her level 8 paladin. I don't know why that just like truly resonates. I'm like, yes, like, you know, it feels so appropriate. And I was having a conversation, I think it was off stream, but with a good friend that Brian Southern, who was on last week, and we were just talking about how there's sometimes a weird pushback for giving PC levels to NPCs. Like, I don't know if you've experienced that. And I get the whole kind of cringy DMPC, like soap opera character, you know, that's like coming through and backlit all the time. But it can be so fun and immersive, I think, to like show them like a level 4 fighter that's like out there trying to do some stuff or whatever. I mean, just like simple things, but to kind of hold up a funhouse mirror, right? That's similar to their adventuring party, to maybe the class dynamics that make up your party. And I don't know if this person, you know, the character whose mom it was, I don't know if they were a paladin or not, but either way, it's just very entrenching. Like the immersion feels significant on that. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that's also the difference too between a streamed game and a home game, right? Like, because this was a streamed game, and we actually had a guest actor player come in and play the mom. Yeah.
Shut up. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and even so, she was level 8, and she was like pretty powerful for level 8 the way I built her.
Yeah.
The main party was, I think, level 10. So she came in, and the actor, my friend Cynthia Marie, played her. And she was like, oh, I'm level 8. Should I be level 8? Should I be higher? I'm like, nope, you're good. You'll see why. Like, the reason was because she was like starting as an adventurer later in life. But again, I stacked her character. Like, I made her super, like, she was able to do really dope stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want my guest players to feel like cut off at the knees, you know? I want them to be able to like go toe to toe with the PCs. But also, I think it's okay to say, no, you're going to be a lower level, and this is the reason why. Like, give it context.
Yeah.
Let it be part of the story. And I'm remembering, too, in another guesting situation in Lords of Faerun, my friend Jessica Lamverdi guested. And she played a kid, a teenager, who was just starting out as
a rogue?
I think a sorcerer.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it a sorcerer? I think so. Yeah, I think it was some type of magic wielding character. And so yeah, you're gonna be a lower level. You're a kid and you're just starting out with this.
100%.
So yeah, I think it's okay. I haven't had pushback personally for like having different leveled or lower leveled PCs or same level PCs. But I think if you're gonna do it, just, you know, make it for a reason. Like, why is this character so much more powerful or less powerful than the main party?
And sometimes, like in that drow example, like you can have, I mean, technically a lower level that's either like really well built or well situated for the build, or like I like doing this sometimes. I mean, it's maybe not as fun to do this when you're bringing in someone to play because they want to be able to do something. But
exactly.
But sometimes it can be fun to, in lieu of like levels or power or resources, giving them like status within the city. Right?
Yes.
Or within the Kingsguard or whatever the reference point would be. Like,
exactly.
You know, because that to me is also like really immersive.
Yeah.
And can be a fun way to play with, you know, because well, you know what? Yeah, let's just dive into it. Like whenever I'm running session zeros and then moving into the campaign, I feel like a lot of times the backstory is either like rooted along the way, like very specific cachets that I'm like, I don't know when they're going to get to this cavern or meet this man, you know, but if they do, this will happen. Or it's sometimes very applicable to the first couple sessions. But I'm curious, like, especially for someone that runs a lot of games, like Aliza, like, how do you take on that prep process? Like, you know, if it's week to week, do you kind of like to do it the day before, the day after a session? Like, what's your normal kind of approach so you can keep incorporating those juicy bits?
Yeah, I think so. The juicy bits from character story, backstory, thankfully, I think if you kind of seed them into what the core of the story is, like what their main goal is, and who are the big PCs they're gonna or NPCs they're gonna go up against, you don't really have to plan for the bits. They just come out. Like they'll just come out in the story. But in terms of thank you. In terms of like week to week preparation though, like, so for instance, I'm running a Marvel game right now, the new Marvel RPG.
I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. They just came out with a playtest of a Marvel RPG, and they're going to come out with the full rule set sometime next year.
That's crazy.
But yeah, we're doing a campaign right now called the New Vanguard over on that same channel, twitch.tv/Kira858.
Sick.
And the week to week prep has been, again, it's like, I feel like I know I've done a decent or good job of setting up a campaign when every week to week I'm not having to like think so hard about what is the next thing.
Yes.
Like, even if they veer off and it's like, oops, they went on a tent, like there's a side quest now that I didn't plan, but we're doing it, let's do it. I think the best part of that is like, if you've already done the core prep work, like put up the columns of what the story is and what their main goals are and what their adversaries are, the rest writes itself, you know? So it depends week to week. Like for this Marvel game though, I will say the prep has mostly been, we have a lot of guests, so every week there's a guest to prep, creating their character, catching them up with what's been going on, because there's a lot going on. It's like a multiversal whirlwind of a game. So that's cool, most of the prep week to week. The story though is bringing
the player up to speed.
Yeah, bringing the guest player up to speed. Yeah, dropping them into this new story.
That's like show running at a very high level.
Totally is.
I mean, because I mean, of course you're DMing, you're doing your normal stuff, and just before I lose it, like so accurate in terms of. I feel like that's also kind of a good litmus test for if kind of the vein, if kind of the theme of your story is staying present or like driving the arc of the campaign. Is so many of the prep points are like sort of presumptive or like make sense, like are chronological. But that's hilarious to be bringing up a character up to speed. Do you find you have to limit, like what's that process? Is it only a page of notes? Is it you like zooming with them and walking them through it, or like?
Yeah. I try to limit. I won't just like, I'm not going to read a 10-page backstory. I'm not going to give you 10 pages of what has happened in our campaign. I'm not going to do that. It's been like a long paragraph, basically, of, basically I'll just like give them, well, it also depends, because some guests, we've had them create a character they wanted to play.
Oh, that's cool.
And now from the middle to the end of this campaign, because we're about 3/4 of the way through, now I'm like, okay, I need certain characters to show up. So I'm telling them who they play, but then we're building it together. We're forming some things together.
Gotcha.
So like, for instance, Eric Campbell guested a couple weeks ago. Yeah, his episode hasn't aired yet because we're like a few to 4 weeks ahead of time in our pre-tapes. But
that's great, though.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
nice.
Just to be ahead of schedule, it's like, wow, hello.
Yeah. By the way, our producer, Kira, who is the channel owner, has also been helping me basically show run this show by prepping the guests and helping onboard them, helping them with character creation. So I definitely want to shout them out because
can we just take a quick moment? I just followed them, but
good. Okay.
I also did just add a cool little shout out bot. So let's maybe just utilize it. Make sure everything's kicking off. Kira858. That sounds so rad. And how?
Kira858.
Like what?
And the channel is called the COOKOUT too. On YouTube, it's called the COOKOUT RPG.
Okay, got it.
And then Kira858 on Twitch.
And this Marvel campaign is ongoing right now, right? And will be for like, what do you think? Like 8 more weeks or
through what is today? 8/10. So through, I think our finale episode airs sometime in September.
Okay, sick. I just followed them. All right, cross fingers that your boy plugged in
Oh.
the stream elements. Here we go.
Yay. So by the end of September is when our finale should air.
Oh,
That's what I
okay,
have in my little
fantastic.
spreadsheet. And by the way, you were asking about prep. How do I prep things?
Wait, I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the middle of all this
What happened?
combat,
Did you lose me?
No, I just brought in the an overlay. I shouted out.
you're
listening-
starting
I'm
to
listening
hear
to
Noir
Noir right now.
What do you say?
Oh my God, great.
And I see Aliza in there. Let's go. That looks rad.
Fractured Destiny was such a fun campaign.
Oh man,
Noir.
that's sick.
Noir was our GM or DM for that campaign, and it was septuplets. Sextuplets.
Was the party?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Isn't that awesome? Just that alone, right? And
it's a
my
Disney.
character was one of the favorite characters I've ever played for myself. I played a Circle of Spores druid.
Listen, Druid is that's my heart spot. I've never played a Spore, but that and Stars are like neck and neck for my next one, my next Druid.
I wanted to play something that was like, I knew that Circle of Spores, they say, is like not the best one to play. So I was like, that's the one I want to play. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I wanted to do something totally different.
This like rot queen, like or whatever. Like
Oh, she was such a rot queen. She loved fungus and stinky
Let's
things
go.
and stinky cheese. I adore her so much. Her name is Pruitt, the druid. I
and
love
is
her so
that
much.
Pruitt the Druid? That's hilarious. And I assume that would still be up on Kira's YouTube channel on the Cookout
exactly.
the Cookout RPG. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, tight.
The Cookout RPG.
Well, thanks
Let
for
me
the
look that
shout out on that, man. That's amazing. And I do want to spend some time. We're definitely going to spend some time just talking about like where we can find your stuff as well, Aliza. Like what you're working on. I want to hear about D&D in the castle. But I do like still just like love hearing about kind of your prep process. I feel like I cut you off whenever I did that shout out. Do you remember kind of what you were in the middle of? Or?
Yeah, for prepping. Oh, here I'm dropping. It's actually the Cookout TTRPG, so I'll drop the
TTRPG,
link
perfect.
in the chat. Okay, so prep process. Pruitt the Druid prep process. And yeah, Fusca, you love Spores, yay! Oh my gosh, she was so fun. I love Pruitt. I love that whole party. Like all the siblings were so great.
That's hilarious as a setup. Like
Right.
like like we are all family, guys. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, Kira described it as "This Is Us," but D&D.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh, interesting. That is real juicy. So you guys were like going for it. Like everybody, there's a lot of actors in there.
There was a lot of very dramatic moments and also very funny, silly, lighthearted moments too.
Got to break it up.
Oh, such a good campaign. Okay, so for me, my prep as a DM or a GM, man, there's like, honestly, I think I've approached all the campaigns or one shots or 3 shots that I've prepped slightly differently, but I think what's at its core for me is, do I already know the setting? Like, where is this going to happen? As the players are creating their characters, are there any initial ideas that people have of who they want to play, or what race or class or anything like that? And then if I don't have already character backstory figured out, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just get ideas randomly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Of course.
You asked before if I do modules. I mostly do just like, I write my own adventures, and
That's so cool.
I do some homebrew as well in terms of like settings and mechanics and stuff like that, but mostly writing the adventures in an established world is my jam. But the Marvel campaign, we do a little bit of both because every PC is from a different multiverse.
That's hilarious.
And I told them, I was like, don't be from 616. We do have one person from 616, but that's okay. I didn't want more than one person to be from 616. I wanted everyone to be from a different place, and mostly, if possible, original multiverses, and everyone did it.
Yeah, man.
So.
And that's also a funny way to not allow for little like cliques, of people, being from the same neck of the woods.
616.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
They're like, yo, oh man. Well, there's no doubt that and what up, Root, by the way? Good seeing all you guys. Mimster, appreciate you guys rolling through. Super lucky to have Aliza in the mix. Just you talking about D&D, DM prep. She's sort of filling us in on her process. which is a lot of original homebrew story creation and weaving in character backstory sort of throughout the campaign, using it as kind of a driving force within the campaign. It's always funny to me whenever I'm I feel like a lot of times yoga or like I do breath work throughout the week, and typically it will be on Tuesdays whenever I have my home campaign. And there's always like little bits of dialogue that come to me. Like we've been very much in kind of the approaching the third act, like they're really coming back face to face with some villains, and that's really where I kind of like to lean in. Like I love having the only real prep I feel like I kind of get overdone on is sometimes really wanting to have little bits of dialogue or like really specific kind of moments of description or having the space captured, only because like I know how much that aids me like as a player. Like I love that. I'm like, ooh, what? Oh, I'm there, but man, that is so fun. And I hear you in terms of, I'm sure once you kind of started doing homebrew and once it started being successful, it's almost not necessarily intoxicating, but it's almost like your curiosity is so piqued because it's limitless, would you mind, like, just if you want, like talking about some of just your favorite kind of original campaign, it doesn't have to be a whole module if you don't want, but I would just love to hear about some of your stuff in that sense. I'm sure it's on Ko-Fi as well.
So let's see. What can I share with you? The Marvel one is very cool, but I can't share it yet because we're not done with it.
Copy that.
Can't spoil the whole thing, but I really am excited for people to see where it's going. And I think with with a lot of the long campaigns I've run, there's a core through line of the story that is usually something I've, figured out before. What is the big reveal, or what is the big bad, or what is this all leading towards?
And can I ask just like on that specifically, is that for you? I mean, of course, like I'm hearing this like as an actor in terms of themes and what's kind of driving probably the action of this NPC, driving the action of the BBEG. Same vibe for me. For you, like, is it also not necessarily like a moment, like this is the ending, in a finite sense, but I'm curious, like I feel like I often view it as like the final thrust of like the villain's plan or the final key element. Do you go that far, or is it more intentionally open-ended? And sorry to cut you off.
It also depends on the villain, right? Because with Lords of Faerun, that villain changed throughout the course of the campaign because of the PC's actions. Having not directly met him yet, they were still affecting him, and he actually ended up slightly changing his objective by the end, by the time they did face off with him. And it was very cool for me, like, to discover that as we were going through the campaign. And then for them to discover it face to face with him and be like, wait, what do you want from us? And and I'm like, yeah, this is what he wants now. He changed his mind. But it was because of was because of them and the things that they had been doing on their journey to like go face to face with him.
That's rad. And like, can I ask, like, what happened? Like, what was what changed,
Yeah. So at the risk of spoiling it, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube. And I think it's still worth watching because there's so many great moments. I haven't even told you all the juicy other character bits, because there's like all the other characters also had really juicy backstory stuff that came into play.
I'm gonna dive into the YouTube channel.
Great.
I will be there with my trunks on.
Yeah. So with Lords of Faerun, so Glyza is the player, Glyza Champion, who is just such a chaos monster. I love her so much. So fun to have at a table. Her character was the Changeling Assassin.
Oh,
whose
Glyza.
Had been Glyza. Yeah, her character's name was, she had two names, one secret name, one real name. And I another thing I do, which I think my players are kind of like, they're on to me now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, is that if you have a secret in your backstory, I'm gonna make that come out.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna deal with that. I'm not gonna force it, but I am gonna make it really uncomfortable for your character.
It will be adjacent at minimum. Yeah, sure.
Because that to me is juicy.
It is.
I want to just we just had that happen on the Marvel game. In a pre-tape, one of our pre-tapes that hasn't aired yet, one of the characters' big secrets finally was revealed to like their closest family members, and I was like,
We need to
watching it
scope
play
that
out. I was
out. So that'll be out in a couple weeks, huh? 2-3 weeks?
Yeah.
That is so wild. Okay, so what ended up going down with this changeling?
Okay, so Glyza's character, right before becoming a part of this particular party, she had left the town that her whole family had been assassinated as retribution, she said, because they're assassins. So someone was like, they killed my such and such, so we're gonna go. So I had created basically the BBEG of this campaign was the wizard that killed her family.
Love it.
And she had not given me a reason as to why the wizard killed her family. But my reason, I know, right? I was able to just lay it in there. So the reason I gave that wizard was that they had killed his son.
Oh, no way. Let's go.
And it turned out that it had been by mistake. The son was an innocent bystander, but still, they killed his son. So he was just a regular mage dude, you know? Maybe the mage of his town. He was very high powered, high level, but he wasn't evil before they killed. So basically her family made this wizard go evil.
That's so good. So good.
Oh, there's so much I don't want to spoil.
Good.
So I'm not going to tell you everything because there's some stuff, if you do watch it, I think it's fun to discover.
I could sit here and ruminate on that one twist for 20 minutes.
I haven't even told you the real twist, which is, I will tell you right before it happens, but I won't tell you what the twist is.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, they, this wizard is like seeking revenge, eventually finds out that she is alive and is the last surviving member of this changeling assassin family and wants to kill her, right? That's the presumption. They cross paths a couple of different ways through other NPCs and situations.
Before they know who the other are?
No, they know who each other are. And she always suspects that he's been looking for her, and it's confirmed through other NPCs that, yes, this wizard is looking for you.
What great peripheral pressure, right? I love that. I love that shit. Love it. Yeah, that's so good.
Glyza also, I can't remember if this happened because of this stuff or... No, yeah, it did. Okay. Another thing that happened in the campaign that was very organic was that my wizard, I homebrewed some skills of his and some like things that he could do. One thing he could do, and this is based in D&D rules, I just kind of like pulled it to its max. Basically, he was able to, working with other high-level mages, create a kind of antenna system to speak with each other's minds. And so he had other wizards on high alert. If you see this person, let me know. I'm looking for her.
Sure. Yeah.
So they came across one of the wizards. He antennaed to the guy, and the wizard enters my PC's mind, Glyza's mind, has a little chat with her.
Dude, that's so good.
She gets freaked out, of course. She gets a ring of mind protection.
Cool. Good luck. Yeah. Now you know.
Like,
now as a DM, you're like, I got her.
For a ring of mind protection. Yep. So she did that. And I was like, great, cool. The ring of mind protection also had a whole thing where there was a soul living in it. And that was very fun and funny. It's great. A lot. But anyway, the final twist. So finally, they crossed those paths with that mind antenna thing that happened. She gets a ring of mind protection. And now what I love about this as an actor, I think you can see where the potential for story is here. When they get to a point in the story where they have to deal with this wizard, they can't keep putting it off because there were things that kept happening around them because of him and his pressure he was putting on them. She can decide to take that ring off. Ooh. And when she does, like, how dramatic and juicy is that moment?
It's like turning on a cell phone that's been off.
Yeah.
Like, that's sick.
Like letting him into her mind finally. And that moment, we had a really juicy moment like that. And then the twist happened when she is finally like, basically she goes off by herself. She did that a lot as the character. Goes off by herself, faces off with him with the rest of the party a couple days behind. And she finds out what he really wants from her. And it's not what she thought. She thought that he just wanted revenge and wanted to kill her. But he did not. He had changed his mind. And I won't tell you what it was, but that's what the twist was basically like.
Interesting. Wow, is it that he's going to take something just as valuable from her?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, I cannot wait to check it out. Cannot wait to check it out. Okay, Onslaught, good seeing you. We're here with Aliza Pear. She is just a fantastic actor, ttrpg creator, and we're really just talking about kind of her process of onboarding players, what that looks like at volume, and then really more so kind of just diving into some of the juicy bits of taking backstory, rooting it thematically within one's campaign, and then what that process kind of looks like week to week. Man, that is rad. I'm truly 100% gonna scope that out. Well, kind of with that in mind, like a question I like to ask, and something that I mean truly just came up as you were describing that sequencing, especially with this wizard, you know, off camera, so to speak, for such significant portions. Do you ever roll for those events? Like, are you rolling for his success or failure?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sick. That's
He
insane.
definitely rolled for the antenna thing.
Ooh,
And
okay.
and it worked. But again, I had homebrewed for him to have to I forget exactly what all the things were I did, but I just like joined a couple of different capabilities and made it so that he could daisy chain a couple of different things.
It's not that different than asking someone to send another sending spell. I mean, it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
it was like telepathy plus something else. I forget, but yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, sometimes he had to roll for things. But also it's really, we kind of have been kind of grazing this subject, but like having your BPEG make progress in their story off camera, like off, you know, away from the story your PCs are playing, knowing that your villain is doing other stuff and making arrangements and things like that, like that can be really fun for the characters to discover. Oh my god, that's what they've been doing this whole time. When we were over here, they were doing this.
Yeah, like going and then returning to a city or whatever it would be. Like
Seeing the change.
I feel like that's always my campaign is dude, it was so funny. I like a campaign that has been one of my longest running home games started as Dragon of Icespire Peak, and it was, I mean, I honestly, for like a starter adventure pack, I would highly recommend it if you are feeling intimidated by homebrew. It but as we sort of flew through that, and now I'm adding tons of elements, and I've been taking in, you know, I have been DMing, but now I'm really like, okay, how much can I homebrew? And a lot of it was having PCs that had come in with enormously specific choices. And it really just was motivating. I was like, okay, what, like, if that, then what else, right? Like, how would that be justified in this world? And all that to say that, like, they are truly going to return to this city, and I know that there's a handful of things that will be different about it that are going to blow their mind in terms of like what their expectation was versus what was done. And you're right. I mean, like, that is, like I said, I think sometimes people can get caught up on prep. Like, how do I prep? And, you know, I mean, if there's something specific, like you need a map for the thing, then like spend your time doing that. But by and large, it really is, I think, just fun to kind of, for me, it helps to roll because then the decision is off me. But to just kind of spitball, like, what would this guy be doing? You know, he has access to this.
Exactly.
The telesignal worked, and now he's going here, he's doing this. Like, at minimum, that just gives you a genuine trickle down of like, if that, then what else happens?
Right.
So that's so sick. I love hearing that. You know, people talk about it like it's sort of like a weird word. I always love to kind of ask people what kind of railroading means to Aliza, like where that has a place, like how that is, how you approach that.
Yeah, it's a thin line, right, between Again, I have different answers for stream games and home games.
That's understandable. You're within time constraints. You probably have a little bit more of a need to wrap it in 4 episodes, 8 episodes.
And you're thinking about the audience too, like, and this is a show, you know, it's not just us playing, and I want everyone to have fun too as players, but we also are like presenting something to an audience. So, so yeah, I think railroading to me means literally giving my players no other choice. I cannot think of I think I can't think of a time when I've done that, thankfully. Because I always want them to have a choice of some kind, right? There are some times when you're like, well, this is really where the story is going. And you can do the little tricky DM thing where it's like, do you go left or right? And they say, I go right. And the thing you want them to do is left. Just put that thing on the right now. Like, you know, you can just easily
That's the ogre, the ogre at the fork, I think is how that's referred to.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. It's like, wherever they decide to go, that's where the next story beat happens. Like, that's super easy. And I don't think that's railroading. It's just kind of like part of the job of a dungeon master to kind of form things. But I think it does become railroading if they really want to do a certain thing out of curiosity or out of just like, I want to see how I can stretch my character, or this interaction might be really interesting for my character to do, and you don't allow them to do that. That's like railroading. That's to me what the line is.
You know, that's a really good point, because I feel like it's rarely referenced in that capacity. It's often the other side of it, like a DM forcing a party, right? Like forcing a hand to do something. But it is just as possible, and like maybe more common, that it happens on the back end, like the other way rather, where it's sort of like not allowing an option, like not wanting to give them the ability to, I mean, I feel like, yeah, like seduce the dragon maybe is, you know, is sort of like the classic one.
That has happened in games I've played in.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's always it's always some weird like tangential like gold offering. I'm like, all right, just roll it up. But no, totally. I enjoy hearing your thoughts on that. It is definitely a fine line, and I think that fundamentally you're right. Like I think we probably all agree the one thing you want to avoid is not giving some options, some choice. Like I think the rule of 3 is super helpful for that in terms of, especially if it's a homebrew situation or homebrew encounter. I like, even if it's just a trap or a puzzle or a, like some sort of mission objective based encounter, to in your own mind as a DM have multiple ways that it could be done.
Yep.
Like if it's violent, sure, but it's also like this door can be unlocked with a DC 14, and this guard could be persuaded because his wife's sick, he needs some more money, etc. Just having multiple options it takes the pressure off me as a DM. Now, is your party every time gonna come to you with a fourth option? Yes. Yes.
Yep.
But it helps me to be like, all right, cool. Well, I understand this world. I understand what's happening and why, and I feel like there are options.
Yeah.
Well, Aliza, I know that we are on a bit of a timeline. I do want to be able to get into the rapid fire, which of course is why we're all here in the mix. But after which I would love to sort of know where we can find you. I want to ask you some hard-hitting questions about D&D in a castle. Like, dude, I thought that was a joke for so long. Like, only because I saw it references. Like, when I was saying something like, man, I don't know what everybody's on about with like D&D in a castle. That sounds sick, whatever. And like, and then like a month ago or more than that, I was like, oh, this is an event. This is real. And then It's Beth the Bard was on, I think 2 weeks ago, and she's wonderful. I don't know if you know her. She's fabulous.
Yeah.
And she's going to be there. And then I saw you as well. I was like, holy smokes. So anyway, just congrats. And like,
thank you.
I do want to spend some time just like, hearing about where we can find you and what's going down. But first, this is the full court press. This is it's a series of hard-hitting, kind of like binary questions. They're typically like either or, like, red or blue or whatever it would be. So with that in mind, you at home, feel free to play along if you'd like, guys. Feel free to toss them out. But this is the beginning of the rapid fire.
I thought that was the first question. You at home? Yes, I am. I'm ready.
It's really, like home or car?
I'm at home.
That is so good. Okay, bonus point immediately before we started. Okay, here we go. First question. Standard array, point buy, 46 drop lowest, or 3d6?
Standard array.
Standard array. Okay, I like it.
You
refer to it as a DM or a GM more regularly?
Depends on the game.
Okay, nice. That's good point. Solid point. Okay, giants or dragons, Aliza Pear?
Dragons.
Let's go. Classic. I mean, I feel like it's impossible to sort of speak against that. It is the titular beast. Okay, you like a red dragon or a blue dragon more?
Ooh. Between those two specifically, red dragon.
Interesting. Okay. I like that. I mean, red dragon, of course, is like Coming for you. Okay. You prefer a copper dragon or a gold dragon?
Oh. I forget. Wait. I forget which does which.
Copper is sort of like the jokey, like very much loves people. Gold is a little bit more like ancient wisdom, like the sage.
Gold dragon.
Gold dragon, let's go. Let's go. That's rad. I have never had like the stones to like run a gold dragon, but they're always like, as a player, I desperately want to encounter one. You know, it's like a shiny Pokemon. I'm like, holy smokes. Okay. Frost giant or storm giant? I'm sorry for being like hyper specific with some of my favorite monsters, but I just love that.
mean, I gotta say storm giant because Lords of Faerun, we had a lot of storm giant representation.
Heck yes.
And that was another juicy backstory thing.
A character spent some time with the giants, or?
Okay, I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah.
One of the PCs was kidnapped as a child from the storm giants, and is half storm giant, half elf. Was it elf?
What a character.
Oh yeah, and I told you secrets get revealed in my games, so
yeah,
that person went back, got to meet some family members, so we had a lot of storm giants on the show.
Damn, that's rad. And they were, they were more or less like non-enemy characters. Like that's so rad. They
were super chill. They were awesome.
Dude, that is
Havana, I'm sorry, I forget their pronouns now. They were they guested as a storm giant on Lords of Faerun, and they were so lovely.
Man, that sounds amazing. That sounds like such a move. Okay, sorry, I got to pick up the pace.
All right,
the rapid fire.
back up. Okay.
Do you prefer, just in general, just blank sort of gut reaction shooting from the hip, spellcaster or melee?
Spellcaster.
Let's go. There it is. D100 or D12?
Oh, damn, that's hard. D12? But
Yes.
only because I still don't have a physical D100, and I've been wanting to get one.
Got you. Yeah.
But D12, if we're talking just the percentile in the D10 versus a D12, D12.
Okay, guys, I'm talking about the 2 dice like D100.
Yeah,
combo.
no.
Okay, got
D12.
you. Get that chunky D12 toss. I get that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that in mind, this might be a clear answer. But you prefer a great axe or a great sword?
Ooh, great axe.
Great axe? Heck yeah, get that 12 rolling. Okay.
Chop.
Elf or dwarf?
Elf or dwarf? Oh, dwarf.
Tabaxi or tiefling?
Tiefling.
Let's go. Okay. No, yeah. It goes without saying. Now, this is the only one that's a real tough one. Turtle or turtle? And just disclaimer, we stand turtles on this show, all right? Trick question.
There's no wrong answer, I'm guessing?
Yes, exactly. You're like, as long as it's turtle, you did it. Okay. Then this is sort of more for like the spellcaster preference. This should be kind of up the alley. Some of them are classic. Some of them are a little bit more class specific. But produce flame or firebolt?
Ooh, produce flame.
Yes, druids up in here. I get that.
Yeah.
So this would be a tough one, but healing word or cure wounds?
Healing word.
Get that distance, that bonus action. It's so funny. I feel like I need to go back, but that is one that I think is split 50-50. Like it's really so hard to kind of pick. Your boy just loves contact, so I'm coming in. I'm laying on hands. But okay, fireball or lightning bolt?
Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt? Let's go.
Yeah.
Because of the range or because of the like?
Because of the sheer power. Like
just
fireball is powerful too, obviously, but like lightning bolt, like you are commanding the heavens to shoot down its ire and electricity on someone. Like,
it's definitely evocative in terms of the imagery. Like what the heck's going on? Okay. Hunter's mark or hex?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to say hex because I'm playing a character who has hex.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, hex.
It is like they're peripheral, but they're different enough. I feel like,
also, I definitely think hex over Hunter's mark because hex, you give disadvantage on one of their checks.
On ability
you choose
check,
the type
for sure.
Yeah, like that's dope. I don't think Hunter's mark does that. So
it prevents. I think they don't benefit from invisibility. Like you can track them. Like there is like a fringe. But you're totally right. Like in terms of dice rolls, there's no doubt that hex hits them harder, I think. Okay. If someone attempts to sleight of hand one of your players, do you give them a perception check or do you use their passive perception?
I think that would depend on context, so I'm going to try to give you a quick answer. Usually have them do a perception check.
Gotcha.
I feel like if it's something literally that's passively happening, passive perception, you know?
Yeah,
But if something's actively happening and they could prevent it if they saw it, then have them do a check.
Got you. The context definitely makes sense. I feel like that is one. I feel like stealth and surprise is often so specifically at the discretion of the DM. So totally feel that. Okay. Now we get into the actual juice, the classes themselves. Wizard or sorcerer?
Sorcerer.
Sorcerer, let's go. Wild magic surge. Cleric or warlock?
Oh, you almost said paladin, though.
I know. But cleric.
I was gonna say paladin.
Or warlock. Sorry.
Okay, cleric or warlock? Cleric or warlock? I would say warlock.
Warlock. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. That one. Yes. Like, I prefer warlocks just because, like, they're kind of, like, I love the invocations. Like, there's so much weirdness that you can get in terms of RP. But we will get to the paladin. Fighter or paladin?
Paladin.
Paladin for sure. Paladin's such a beast. It's crazy. Okay. I think I probably know this one, but I still got to ask it. Druid or ranger?
Druid.
Let's go. Truly, like, druids have my heart. Like, I'm like, that was my first character. I'm all about them.
Yeah.
They're so rad. Okay. Last question of the rapid fire. Yes or no? Should cats have dark vision?
Yes.
I agree. I mean, obviously,
is that even a question?
Well, but they don't. Like, it's like it's always such.
They
like
don't.
Technically, within the monster manual, they don't. Cats don't have dark vision, and it's like always a pain in the butt because so many familiars are cats.
That's silly.
So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yo, bro, have you ever seen a cat? Like, come on now.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, I like just tossing it out. You know, I'm just trying to put pressure on Wizards of the Coast. That's all this is about.
You have a cat agenda, sir.
Yeah, exactly. I do. That's why my
Clearly, you have a cat agenda.
Well, Aliza, thank you so much. This has been such a blast. Can you please just tell us, like, where we can find you, what games you're running now, and what the heck is going on in Northern England in September with D&D in the Castle?
Yeah, so I am Aliza Pearl. You can find me at Aliza Pearl on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitch, Aliza. I don't stream regularly, so just follow me if you want. No pressure. And then I'm on TikTok, The Real Aliza Pearl. And I am currently running a Marvel game, as I said before. It's called The New Vanguard over on twitch.tv/Kier858. You can also watch a lot of other content I've been in and run and played in and produced just across the internet. I don't know what to tell you at this point. It's a lot.
I cannot wait to check out that Marvel game. It looks so good.
It's been so fun. We've been having a really good time. The Cookout TTRPG is one place you can see a lot of my recent DMing and GMing, and then Streampunks RPG is another place that I run a lot of games and produce and play.
Yeah.
I'm one of the producers of that channel. And
oh my gosh, amazing! Yeah. I mean, I sometimes can't immediately place it. I absolutely have heard of them. I'm pretty sure I've watched some of your stuff. That's rad.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lovely group. Some of my dearest friends. We do games together over there.
Man, that's the secret. That's the real juice. That's the secret sauce.
Yeah. And then what else am I running? I'm actually working on a lot of writing stuff right now. So
for modules and stuff. Or?
Yeah. I'm working on some, like, contributing to an anthology of NPCs, and I've pitched a story module to a sci-fi publisher. I won't say who yet until they commission me to do the game.
No, for sure. Respect.
But yeah. So I'm kind of like I've taken a slight step back from running games and playing in games, just to because I'm working on other stuff right now. But I don't think I will ever stop playing TTRPGs, to be honest.
Oh man,
like,
no.
Playing and/or streaming.
It sounds like you have such a grasp on it, but clearly you love it as well.
Oh, and you asked about D&D in a Castle.
Yeah,
Northern
break us
England.
off.
Yeah, so I will be there for rounds 3 and 4.
Amazing.
And I believe round 4 my table's sold out. Round 3 there might be one more seat. So if
Could it
anyone
be
wants to
you
do
at home?
last minute traveling to play D&D in a castle,
Dude, that's
round
so
3.
sick. And like, what did that
Yeah.
process look like? I mean, I truly, I felt like such a noob. I was like such a herb.
Mhm.
I was also like busy editing, so I'm kind of like, I've turned up. But then whenever I came back, I was like, that's really funny. Like, I would love that's. I don't know why people are, seems like
Right?
that'd be a
Sounds
great
amazing.
concept. And then it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. It's my first time going, and I mean, like 3-ish years ago or more, my friend Ash, who used to work with the company that runs D&D in a castle, she approached me like I think it was like 2019. So 2018? Yeah, 2018, about 4 years ago, she approached me about being a DM for D&D in a castle. I had not run D&D yet. I was GMing all these other games.
Oh
I was
wow.
playing D&D, and I was learning D&D on like low key, putting myself through a little like D&D dungeon master grad school on my own.
That is great.
Because I was like,
Working
I was so
nights.
intimidated. Yeah, I was. I was so intimidated. I bought like the first 3 books, and I just read them cover to cover on my own time, watched a ton of YouTube, and learned a lot. Oh my God. It's lovely seeing another New Jersey in the TTRPG realm. Thank you, Fuska.
Yo.
Yeah. Did you know I was from New Jersey because of my slight accent, or did you just know that? I would love to know.
Yeah, that's how
'cause
I would
I
as
think
well.
I have a Jersey accent, but some people can't hear it, and I'm like, all I hear is my Jersey accent. But anyway, so yeah, like 4 years ago, Ash Minnick approached me about kinda. Not surprised. Not surprised.
That's so great.
Shout
No, it
out to
works.
you. Shout out to you.
Fuska's
but-
great. Her channel is rad.
Oh, awesome! I'll have
Yeah.
to follow you.
Well, before we end it, I'll do a shout out for Fuska as well.
Oh,
Appreciate my
good.
peeps.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's nice. So yeah, like I spent a couple years just studying D&D so that I could run it because I was very intimidated by the dungeon master scene. People have been playing D&D for 30, 40, like my lifetime, years,
Totally.
and I was like, I don't want to do it yet. I'm scared. I want to do it, but I'm scared. So
Yeah.
I spent a couple years just studying D&D, running other games. I ran a lot of Star Trek Adventures and Buffy, and I didn't even tell you about my Buffy
Yeah,
campaign.
man. Like, and are these like, are you creating like Star Trek Adventures? I'm like somewhat familiar with, but like Buffy, I'm not. Is that an actual system? Did you like module that? Wow.
No, yeah. So all the story content is a mixture of me just like creating story. And again, we bring in a lot of character backstory stuff.
Sure.
I bring in some stuff. I have a whole lore thing that they haven't uncovered yet. And
in Marvel.
no, in the Buffy game.
In Buffy. Okay, sick.
There's a whole like layer of lore that they haven't figured out yet. That has to do with I don't know if any of them will watch this. They might. But I will say it has to do with the nature of their reality.
Okay.
And they
Neo.
have not
Let's go.
They have not uncovered it yet. They're just about to, and then we went on hiatus. So when we bring that game back, it's a private game, it's a home game, so no one here
Cool.
will see it. But when we bring that game back to finish up the story of the past year and a half, I think that's what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna have them.
That's so
I'm just
sick.
gonna like point them more directly to it, and we're just gonna undig those secrets I've planted.
No shit. Especially if it's like coming back off a break, that can be a good opportunity to sort of just like open the city gates in a certain direction.
Exactly.
You know.
Yes. But anyway, sorry, we were talking about D&D in the castle.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's
man.
how I first learned about it, and that's how I first was invited to do it. And I told them, not
Cool.
yet. I want to do it, but maybe next year. And then the next year, I forget what happened. It was like 2019. I got laid off from my job at Nerdist, and I booked a bunch of acting work. So yay for
Let's
that
go.
happening right after getting laid off. I was like, I need it.
I love it when the universe has your back, right? It's like,
Mhm.
okay, thank goddess, let's go. Like,
Yeah, the timing was impeccable. And so yeah, I just spent more time studying D&D and running games and playing games. And then finally, I think it was around 2020, we got back in touch. There were new people now who were running it. Not new people, but like Ash had gone on to other amazing things. She's awesome. Ash Minnick is running the after show for the new Vampire the Masquerade campaign, New York by Night.
oh no way.
Ash is awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
So just to give her a little shout out.
That was of course the original Ash, the D&D in a Castle connection.
Yes,
Tight.
exactly,
Okay, tight.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, so I've been in touch with them ever since then, and it took about, the pandemic they had to shut down for a couple years, And then just this year, I think they started coming, like they came back for the first time in March. And so I had signed up for March, but then I was like, I'm nervous about pandemic. Let's do September. And now I'm doing September.
God, that's
So
gonna be
that's
so
the story of how was that your question even?
Yes, it was. I mean, like, it's just gonna be so sweet. Like, I can't wait to. I mean, maybe I don't wait all the way to like episode 77, but like, just would love to hear about that. I'm glad it's sold out. I mean, is it the vibe? Like, do you get the sense that more people are traveling to go, or that there's going to be more of like a local attendance?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think
Cool.
there are quite a lot of people who fly in for it. And then I don't know what the split is though. I don't know. But I think quite a lot of people are flying in for it.
That's so
Yeah.
rad. It's going to be so much fun. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, I mean, that's sick. So glad to hear about it. I mean, thank you for your time. I know Aliza has to run. She basically has some stuff going on later today. But yeah, I mean, thank you for letting us know where we can find you. And I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like
for sure.
now, I feel like I probably, along with the rest of the chat, are all just like, should I be the last seat in block 3? You know,
Yes.
or whatever
Come
it is.
join us.
Or
It's gonna be
like,
so
I don't
fun.
know, man. That's just I every time I end these, I'm always so taken by how much I would love to be a player at your table. Like, you know what I mean? That's always how I leave it. I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
Like, they're living
I'm
over
like
there.
that too. Like talking to other DMs, I'm like, ooh, that sounds fun. I want
Yes,
to do that. Like,
exactly. I'm like, that sounds like a cool world. Well, guys, wait, hold up. I want to shout out Fuzka. I appreciate you guys rolling through.
Oh,
Guys,
yes.
Fuzka runs a really fun live stream on her channel, and I think you also do just some D&D content creation streams. Correct me if I'm wrong, but let's dive back into the time capsule of Fuzka. Hold up. There it is.
Man, I'm not saying it makes sense.
We're
Just
all
where I'm
good
at.
here.
We're good?
Yeah.
Poopa, you good?
what's
Yeah, he's
happening?
good. Look at his wonderful camera. Look how much we can see of him.
You look a little
Oh,
blurred,
You're
brother.
playing. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it on the Twitch stream.
I
Aliza.
can.
It
There was a delay, so I was like, what's
Yeah, the ninners. I'm just dying because anytime the DM is laughing and then going, "You good? You good?" like I love that. Just making sure. Yo, Matt Pro, good seeing you guys. Appreciate that, man. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, this is basically going to be the end. I do like to end my D&D streams by rating another D&D streamer. That was really pretty much like how I met a ton of people on Twitch, and it was one of my first Twitch streams. I found it immensely uplifting. I was like, oh wow, this is so nice. So now let's just return the favor, huh? Let's
Yes.
see what's going down. Spread a little love, maybe make somebody's day.
I also want to give you a shout out for having a little fern here
Yes, thank
on
you.
the overlay.
You
Good.
know, like
know.
at the end of the day, I'm like truly like a shtick comedian. And so like for me, like poorly executed clip art, it sparks joy. It sparks joy.
Wait
so
till you see. Okay, I will say y'all should follow me on at least Instagram and TikTok because I'm about to unroll a whole bunch of content that involved me doing Canva and Photoshop, like
yeah.
graphics.
Oh, great.
I'm like decent to sucky at both of those things, so
But that ups the comedic value
be fun.
significantly, right?
it's gonna be
Like-
fun. Keep an eye out.
Oh
It's
man.
very silly.
And I will say, at least like I mean, this is so specific and niche, but that chocolatier work from last week was insane. Like that got me
Wait.
so good. Just whenever you created those dark chocolate
Oh,
shavings,
my
right?
chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh my God. One of the clip art things I did has to do with chocolate. I was like,
Oh,
know?
yeah, no.
I was like, what?
It like got me because I mean I think it
Oh,
might have just been
cool.
because I've just worked in some high end restaurants. Like I've been,
Ooh, yes,
I've
me
just
too.
spent many
Actors,
years
right?
exactly like downtown LA, like getting
Yes,
baptized.
me too.
Exactly.
Oh my God, we have to talk more. 'cause,
Let's
like,
go.
We gotta talk about
100%.
like the actor stuff.
I agreed, and like the war wounds. No, 100%. Okay, guys, give Aliza a follow. Give her a shout. Thank you so much for rolling with me today. I'm Carpe the
Thank
DM.
you.
Man,
This is so
no,
fun.
this was super duper fun. I need to do a better job. I mean, yeah, you're coming back on.
We're doing great.
Yeah, I know. I meant with like giving you. I should have given you the schedule ahead of time. I wish we had,
Oh,
another half hour with
I'm
you.
sorry about that.
No, that's my
I
fault.
would love to come back too, just so like.
Yeah. No, we will make that happen. We will make that happen. Guys, if you can stick around, we're going to swing through on Sway Jedi, give them a little love,
Yes.
maybe a little pop. And yeah, make sure I am not streaming this Friday because I'm going to be on set shooting a little fill in the blank.
Hey-yo.
Super pumped. But then next Monday, we're going to do the final installment of the live play session, The Shadows of Minzo Baranzan, with Sierra, the drow spy. So next Monday, if you're around, come through. It's going to be rowdy. And I guess for the rest of you, I love you. Aliza, anything before we dip out?
No, thanks for being here, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you at the next one.